Welcome to my channel. Subscribe to my channel to not miss new videos. Throwaway account, obviously. I don't need this tied to my main. You might know me, or at least think you do, but for now, just call me D. I'm in my late 70s, a businessman turned politician. Yeah, that guy. And until recently, I thought I understood how people worked. But somehow, after all I built, the biggest con I ever fell for was happening right under my own roof. My wife, let's call her M, turned out to be playing a game I didn't know I was in. Now before you jump in, yeah, I get it. My past isn't squeaky clean. I've made enemies, headlines, and a lot of bad choices. But this one cuts deeper than any lawsuit or election loss. When I married M, she was this quiet, elegant woman from Europe. Beautiful, sure, but also cold in that runway model way. She rarely said much, didn't challenge me, didn't ask for much either. At first, I thought I hit the jackpot. A wife who wouldn't argue, wouldn't nag, wouldn't complain about the lifestyle. Private jets, Manhattan penthouses, dinners with world leaders. She played the part. Graceful in public, distant in private. I chalked it up to culture or whatever. But then little cracks started showing. We'd be at events and she'd whisper to me through clenched teeth about how embarrassing I was, or how I don't listen when people talk. She started skipping events altogether. Blamed migraines or exhaustion. The media made it worse, always picking apart her expressions, her outfits, her hand-holding, or lack thereof. I defended her. Thought, maybe she's just shy. Maybe it's the pressure. But nah, man. She was playing me. Looking back, I was so wrapped up in everything else, campaigns, business scandals, public image, that I didn't see the woman next to me wasn't just pulling away. She was hiding something. Turns out, when someone gives you silence for long enough, it's not peace. It's distance. And in my case, that distance was filled with lies. To be continued in part 2, the text message that wasn't meant for me mobile phone. It started on a Tuesday. I remember that clearly because I had just gotten off a long phone call with a former advisor about launching a new business venture. I walked into the kitchen, poured myself a Diet Coke, no ice, obviously, and saw her phone buzzing on the marble counter. Normally, she kept it glued to her like it was a lifeline, but that day, she left it unattended. Big mistake. A message popped up from someone saved under the name Marcella Pilates, a name I had seen a few times before but never gave much thought to. The preview showed just one line. He's leaving for Florida this weekend. We'll have the house to ourselves again, kiss mark. Now listen, I'm no genius when it comes to relationships, I'll admit that. But I'm not a damn fool either. There's no Pilates instructor in the world who sends a kiss emoji about having the house to themselves. My stomach dropped. I stared at that message like it was a loaded gun, and it was aimed straight at my pride. I picked up her phone, unlocked it. Don't ask how, let's just say trust made her careless. And there it was. Dozens of texts. Not with Marcella, but with a guy named Stefan. And he wasn't her trainer. He was younger, European, something in art consulting. Mostly shirtless selfies and messages like, I hate pretending when he's around. You make me feel alive again. Soon, I'll be free. Free? From what? The marriage? The mansion? The freaking helicopters? The rage hit first, blinding, hot, humiliating. And then came the second punch. This had been going on for years. Hotels during business trips. Trips I thought were fashion events. The whole charade. And she played me like a violin. I didn't throw her phone. I didn't scream. I just walked out. Got in the car. Sat there for half an hour with my heart punching holes through my chest. I've been many things in my life. Powerful, controversial, even hated. But this made me feel small. I was the last to know. Again. So there I was, sitting in my own damn car, in my own damn driveway, trying to wrap my head around the fact that my wife had been having some Eurotrash romance behind my back for years. I felt like a walking punchline. I didn't sleep that night. Just laid in the guest room staring at the ceiling, thinking about all the events, all the smiles, all the fake moments where she leaned into me for the cameras. And now, knowing all that time she was texting Stefan under the damn dinner table, I was going to lose my mind. By the next morning, I wasn't angry anymore. Not in the fire-breathing way. It was colder than that. It was surgical. I had the phone. I had the texts. And I had one goal, the truth, or her version of it, anyway. She came into the kitchen wearing one of those silk robes I bought her in Milan. Still playing the role. I put her phone on the counter like a loaded weapon. She paused when she saw it. Me. So who the hell is Stefan? Her eyes flickered. No gasp. No stumble. Just a half-second delay, like she was calculating. Then she put on that rehearsed, breathy voice and said, "He's just a friend. You're being paranoid." Paranoid. Right. I told her I read the messages. Every single kiss emoji, every "I miss your hands," every goddamn video. Her expression didn't change. She went straight into deflect mode like a lawyer caught with blood on the knife. She said it was emotional, not physical at first. Then she said it was physical, but only after I stopped being present. Then she said it was my fault because I was always gone, always working, always obsessed with image. That part hit me harder than the cheating. I built this life, this empire, the houses, the security, the brand, for us. And now she was using it against me? Like success was some kind of crime? I didn't yell. I just stared at her. Because in that moment, I realized I was married to someone who didn't just cheat. She believed her own excuses. She lived in a delusion of privilege and blame. She cried, or tried to. Not because she was sorry, but because she was cornered. I said just one thing before walking out. "You're not even sorry. You're just caught." She didn't follow me. She didn't beg. She just poured herself a mimosa and sat down like it was a regular Tuesday. That's when I knew this wasn't a marriage. It was a contract. And mine had just expired. There's this moment after the storm where the air gets heavy and too still, like the world's waiting to see if you'll break. That's where I was. After the confrontation, I didn't go into the office. Didn't call anyone. I just drove. No destination. Just the city, the noise, the blur. Somewhere around Fifth Avenue, it hit me. I, Donald freaking Trump, got played like a side character in my own life. The ego I'd carried like armor, the bravado, the success, the whole brand, none of it mattered when the woman you sleep next to every night is lying to your face while texting her side piece in bed beside you. You'd think after decades of public scandals and media wars, I'd be numb. But this wasn't public. This wasn't political. This was personal. And that made it so much worse. I sat in the back of my car staring at my reflection in the blacked-out window, wondering how the hell I didn't see it. I thought about all the times she'd fallen asleep early, all the trips she took alone, all the moments she brushed off sex with, "I'm just tired," or "I'm not in the mood." Hell, she once told me my cologne made her nauseous. I laughed it off. Nauseous, man. You don't say that to someone you love. The silence in the car felt louder than any insult she could have thrown. And in that silence, all the bravado drained out of me. I wasn't the Donald. I was just a guy who got cheated on by the woman he thought he was building forever with. I didn't tell anyone. Not my sons. Not my lawyers. Not even the staff. I just sat in that car, hurting in private, because public men don't get to fall apart in public. But here's the part that messed me up the most. I still loved her. Even after the betrayal, even knowing there were lies stacked on lies, there was a part of me that still hoped it wasn't real. But it was. And that's the moment I realized. This wasn't just infidelity. It was war. And she'd been waging it quietly, behind the curtain, while I was on stage thinking we were still a team. All right, so after the confrontation and the complete mental spiral that followed, I did what any rational man with too much money and a bruised ego would do. I hired a private investigator. Not just some bottom-shelf guy with a trench coat and a fake mustache. No, I brought in a guy with military background, who once tracked down a hedge fund manager's mistress in Monaco using drone footage and a fake yoga retreat. This guy had receipts before you even finished the sentence. I gave him her travel records, her phone bill, credit card statements, even the security footage from our building, which, I realized, I hadn't checked in years. Trust had made me stupid. 3 days later, he came back with a manila envelope like something out of a courtroom drama. Inside? Photos of Stefan at our penthouse while I was speaking at a rally in Iowa. Hotel receipts from Paris, under her name and his assistant's corporate card. And this one I'll never forget, a napkin sketch of her, nude, clearly drawn by someone who wasn't just admiring her, but knew her body in detail. Apparently, Stefan fancied himself an artist. I looked at that sketch and felt this weird mix of disgust and heartbreak. I knew that pose. I'd seen it in real life. It used to be ours. Now it was pencil and paper and humiliation. It was the kind of thing you can't unsee. I called the PI that night, thanked him, and poured myself a scotch. Just sat there with the envelope in my lap, wondering, at what point did she stop loving me? Was it when I was busy running campaigns? Was it when the cameras stopped flattering her? Was it ever real at all? Because the truth was, I didn't just feel betrayed. I felt like a joke. This woman, my wife, had played house while sketching out her next life with some Euro-Bohemian clown who couldn't even spell accountability. And me? I'd been fighting for votes while she was getting sketched naked in Paris. That night, I didn't sleep. I just kept thinking, what else don't I know? Because when you find a secret life once, you start realizing there might be layers. And brother, I was just getting to the center of the onion. So by now, I'm past the point of pretending things can go back to normal. I've got a manila folder full of betrayal, a wife who's lying with the confidence of a politician at a campaign rally, and now, something worse. Something unexpectedly petty and gross, even by her standards. See, the private investigator didn't stop at Stefan. The guy's a bloodhound. He dug up a trail that led straight to this charity she'd been talking about for months. She'd called it Hearts for Humanity, some vague, emotional name. Said it was for kids in conflict zones. Even guilted me into promoting it once in an Instagram post. I remember the caption, "When we have so much, we must give back." Sparkling heart. Turns out it wasn't registered. Not even a shell nonprofit. It was a front. A freaking front for funneling money into a joint account in the Cayman Islands that had both her name and his. Stefan's. Let me say that again. My wife, the first lady of fake compassion, had created a fake charity to launder luxury travel money with the Eurotrash boyfriend she swore she barely knew. I was pacing the room when I got the call. Florida, area code. I thought it was one of my old campaign guys. Nope. It was Marla. Yeah, that Marla. My ex-wife. Haven't talked to her in over a decade. The call was short and weirdly gentle. She goes, "Donald, I don't want to get involved. But you should know she reached out to me." Me who? Your wife? 2 weeks ago. She wanted to clarify some things about the prenup. Said she was thinking of starting a women's foundation in Miami and needed advice, but it didn't sit right. It felt like fishing. I sat down. Cold sweat. My hands were shaking. That's when it hit me. She's not just cheating. She's planning an exit. And not just any exit. One that ends with her in Miami sipping champagne while painting her side piece on a yacht with my money. I thanked Marla. She sounded more sorry for me than anything else. Honestly, it might have been the nicest she's ever been to me. After the call, I sat in the dark for maybe an hour. No TV, no music, just the sound of betrayal echoing in a room full of gold and silence. This wasn't about sex anymore. This was a heist. By this point, I wasn't just hurt. I wasn't just angry. I was insulted. And that's the most dangerous kind of rage, the kind that simmers under ego. The kind that turns cold. Calculated. Strategic. So I called the one guy I always swore I'd only bring in for Armageddon scenarios. My divorce attorney from back in the 90s. The kind of man who wears leather gloves inside the office just to remind you he's not afraid to get them dirty. Let's call him Grayson. Grayson answers on the second ring. I say 5 words. It's happening again. But worse. He shows up at my place that night like it's a hostage negotiation. We sit down. I slide over the manila folder. I tell him everything. The affair, the fake charity, the Miami plan. He flips through the photos, the bank statements, the napkin sketch, and he actually laughs. Like a full, exhausted, Jesus, Don kind of laugh. Then he goes, "This isn't just betrayal. This is premeditated fraud. If we move now, we get the house, the accounts, and the public sympathy. You wait too long." She paints herself as the victim. She'll drop tears on a talk show and America will eat it up with a spoon. That's when it clicked. She wasn't just cheating on me. She was preparing to destroy the entire narrative of our marriage. I'd be the outdated relic. She'd be the empowered survivor. Stefan would be her emotional support soulmate. You know that quiet moment before a war starts? That eerie stillness when both sides are loading their weapons and smiling like it's just business? That was us. I had my lawyer. She had her fake charity and a French boyfriend who thought boundaries were a suggestion. So we started freezing accounts. We drafted subpoenas. We reviewed the prenup, ironclad, but she'd find a way to twist it if we gave her air. And through it all, I kept thinking, how long has she been preparing to leave me while pretending to love me? It's a brutal question. And the worst part? There's no satisfying answer. I wasn't going to say anything publicly. Not yet. The plan was airtight, handle this quietly, cleanly, like a boardroom coup. But then she went rogue. A Thursday morning, I'm sipping black coffee in my office, briefing my team on what's next, and suddenly, phones start blowing up. One of my aides bursts in like someone died. "Sir, She's doing a press conference. I swear, my heart stopped. I turn on the TV, and there she is. My wife. Wearing a white blouse, hair curled soft like an angel from a Hallmark special, standing at a podium with a tissue in one hand and fake humility in the other. She says things like, "Marriage is complex. Even powerful men can be fragile. I've always supported my husband, but I've also endured things behind closed doors that would shock the public." Shock the public? What does that mean? And then she tears up, actual crocodile tears, and says, "I will always love him, but sometimes love isn't enough." I watched the crowd eat it up like it was an Oscar monologue. Reporters nodding. Women gasping. The kind of empathy I used to get when I talked about my dad and the family business. Now she was the star. I threw my mug, shattered it against the fireplace. Scalding coffee and ceramic everywhere. I didn't even care. I just sat there breathing hard while the TV kept playing sound bites. She's brave. She's dignified. She's speaking her truth. Her truth. Meanwhile, I've got receipts, bank records, a naked napkin sketch, and a soon-to-be court date that's going to make War of the Roses look like a Disney flick. But no one saw that. All they saw was a beautiful woman, crying softly, saying she tried. I'll tell you something, and take it as advice. If your partner is already working on the public narrative before you even finish processing the betrayal, they've been preparing to hurt you for months. Maybe years. She didn't just cheat. She auditioned for the breakup. And America gave her a standing ovation. I didn't think it could get worse after the press conference. I was wrong. So damn wrong. 3 days later, I get a call from a guy I haven't heard from in years. Let's call him Rick. He's a Hollywood fixer. One of those guys who cleans up scandals before TMZ gets wind. We crossed paths once during some Miss Universe drama. The man is discreet, efficient, and always 2 steps ahead of the dirt. He calls me up, real quiet, real serious. "Dawn, you need to sit down for this." So I do. He sends me a video link, password protected, watermarked, obviously not meant for public eyes. I click it. It's drone footage. Classy. Crystal clear. Looks like it was filmed by Netflix or something. The camera pans over the coast of Nice, France, and then settles on a yacht. My yacht. Or at least, the one I technically bought her as a birthday present last year. The name? Golden Liberty. A floating palace. I hadn't even been on it yet. The video zooms in, and there they are. Her and Stefan. Laughing. Drinking. Wrapped in towels. Kissing like they're in a goddamn cologne commercial. But it's not just that. There's another camera crew on board. Full setup. Lighting. Microphones. Stefan's wearing a blazer with no shirt, and she's narrating something to the camera. Narrating. Talking about new beginnings and emotional freedom, and how she's filming a documentary on reinvention after public betrayal. Let me repeat that. She's filming a documentary about me betraying her. I paused the video and just sat there. You ever feel so furious, so stunned, that your body goes numb? Like your soul checked out of the room for a few minutes to go scream into a pillow in another dimension? That was me. She wasn't just cheating. She wasn't just stealing. She wasn't just lying. She was turning me into her villain, with a camera crew, a yacht I bought, and a European side piece who thinks holding a wine glass counts as depth. Rick's voice came back on the line. "Dawn, you've got maybe 48 hours before this hits a streaming deal." She's shopping it around. That night, I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I stared at the ceiling and thought about all the times I looked her in the eyes and believed a damn thing she said. I gave her everything, and she sold it for content. You know what that does to a man? It doesn't just break your heart. It kills your legacy. Let me tell you something I've learned the hard way. You don't just protect assets. You protect stories. Because in this era, reputation is currency, and my wife was trying to bankrupt me with lies she hadn't even finished scripting yet. So what did I do? I made some calls. See, years ago, back when we were happy, whatever the hell that even means now, I had her sign what we called a soft clause, NDA. At the time, it was mostly for publicity stuff, interviews, behind-the-scenes things during campaign season, keeping family matters off social media. But I had Grayson review the original language, and he found a golden line tucked right there in paragraph 6b. The undersigned agrees not to produce, distribute, or participate in any media or commercial content depicting, referencing, or dramatizing marital issues without prior written consent of the partner. That little sentence? My Excalibur. Grayson smiled like a fox when he read it. If she releases that documentary, we hit her so hard with a legal injunction she won't even be able to stream Grey's Anatomy without permission. But we didn't stop there. Grayson flew to the island where the yacht was docked, St. Barthélemy. He brought a cease and desist order so thick it could have doubled as a boat anchor. Hand-delivered it to her crew on the deck of Golden Liberty. The crew panicked. Cameras shut off. Mics packed. Stefan apparently slipped into a towel and started yelling in French, something about artistic freedom and emotional sabotage. But the best part? My wife tried to argue the NDA wasn't enforceable because she signed it during a time of emotional vulnerability. Grayson leaned in and said, "Ma'am, we also have footage of you laughing your way through the champagne toast you gave after signing it." Boom. Lights out. Cameras down. The documentary? Dead in the water. She had tried to make me the villain of her scripted heartbreak saga, and I pulled the plug before the first fake tear hit the lens. Now, you'd think that might calm things down. You'd think she'd go quiet, regroup, maybe finally show a little humility. But you don't know this woman, because what she did next, that was when the real war started. Just when I thought I'd cornered her into silence, the game changed. Enter Jessica, her personal assistant. The one woman who had seen everything, heard everything, and somehow managed to survive all the chaos. Jessica wasn't your average assistant. Sharp as a razor, but loyal as a golden retriever to her boss, no matter what. Except Jessica had a secret. One night, she slipped me a message through an old friend of mine. Just a simple text. "Dawn, there's stuff you don't know. Stuff she's hiding." I almost deleted it. But curiosity got the best of me. We met at a quiet cafe near my place. She was nervous, hands shaking, eyes darting, like a spy who just got caught with classified files. She spilled everything. The late-night meetings with some shady PR fixer who specializes in reputation disasters. The encrypted chats with Stefan where they planned their next moves. The secret accounts where she funneled money from the fake charity. And worst of all, she was planning to go public with a story that would ruin not just me, but my entire family. Jessica handed me a USB drive. On it were screenshots, audio clips, bank transfers. Enough to blow the whole operation wide open. I sat there, feeling like I was watching my life unravel on a slow-motion film. But here's the kicker. Jessica was loyal, but to the truth. She said, "I stayed because I believed in you, not in her." That hit harder than anything she could have said about the affair or the lies. Because at the end of the day, it wasn't just about cheating or betrayal. It was about the people caught in the crossfire. The ones who had no say but suffered the fallout. That night, I realized something crucial. To fight a war, you need allies. Even unexpected ones. Jessica's USB wasn't just a bombshell. It was a nuclear warhead. Inside the drive were emails between my wife and Stefan that detailed everything. The affair, the documentary plans, the fake charity, and even the attempts to drag my family's name through the mud. I spent hours reading through each message, feeling my anger rise and fall like a roller coaster. But the real kicker was one email dated just a week ago. It was from her to Stefan, saying, "I'm done playing the victim. It's time to take him down, publicly and legally. No more NDA nonsense. We'll ruin him and come out shining." That line hit me like a punch to the gut. She wasn't just trying to survive the fallout, she wanted to win. So I drafted my final message, my ultimate ultimatum. You either walk away quietly, or I expose everything. No more lies, no more games. This ends now. I sent it and waited. The silence afterward was deafening. Then came her reply, 3 words that burned hotter than any insult. "Try me, Donald." So here's where things went off the rails completely. I was gearing up for a quiet settlement. You know, lawyers drafting papers, some cash changing hands, signing stuff in a fancy office. But nope, she decided to throw down the gauntlet and turn this into a full-blown court battle. She filed a lawsuit accusing me of defamation, emotional abuse, and even threw in some wild claims about business misconduct. I swear, I thought I was on a reality TV show for a minute. Her legal team came at me like a pack of wolves. Depositions, subpoenas, leaked documents to the press. It was exhausting. The media loved it. Every twist, every turn, every juicy allegation. I had to keep my cool in court, though inside I was a storm. Watching her lie under oath was surreal. One moment she'd be all innocent and victimized. The next she'd smirk like she owned the place. But here's the twist. I had my own ace up my sleeve, Jessica's evidence. The emails, the secret bank transfers, the recordings. Every lie she told? I had receipts. The judge wasn't impressed by her poor me act. The table started turning fast. I won the first motions. The case got dismissed on multiple counts. She tried to appeal. Still nothing. She lost. Hard. Winning the court battle didn't mean the war was over. It just meant the battlefield changed. The public loved the drama, but behind the headlines, my family was shaken. Friends I thought were solid? Quietly taking sides. My kids confused, hurt, asking questions I didn't have good answers for. And my wife? Gone. Disappeared like a ghost after losing in court, leaving a mess of broken trust and shredded pride. For me, the emotional toll was brutal. Some days I'd wake up furious, other days numb. The betrayal cut deep, not just because she lied or cheated, but because she tried to destroy me for her gain. I started therapy. Yeah, the guy who built an empire admitting he needed help. It was humbling but necessary. Slowly, I learned to separate my worth from the chaos she created. I rebuilt trust with my family, piece by fragile piece. And I began thinking about what I truly want, beyond the headlines, beyond the anger. All right, here's the deal. After everything, I'm left with a few hard truths and some advice that might actually help anyone going through something like this. Trust your gut. If something feels off, don't ignore it. I ignored too many red flags thinking love would fix everything. It won't. Document everything. Sounds paranoid, but having proof saved me legally and emotionally. Keep receipts, messages, recordings, anything that might protect you later. Find your allies. Whether it's friends, family, or even someone like Jessica, you need people who see the truth and won't judge you. Don't let anger consume you. I spent months raging, and it nearly broke me. It's okay to feel it, but don't let it define you. Get professional help. Therapy or counseling saved me from spiraling into bitterness. Healing isn't weakness, it's strength. Know your worth. No matter how much someone lies, cheats, or uses you, your value doesn't drop. Remember that. Move forward on your own terms. Whether that means fixing the relationship, walking away, or something else, it's your call. No one else gets to decide your peace. This experience? It crushed me, but it also forced me to grow. I'm not the same man I was before. And honestly, that's the only victory I need. If you're reading this and stuck in your own nightmare, hang in there. You're stronger than you think. That's my story. Thanks for listening. If anyone wants to ask questions or talk, I'm here. Donald T _Real Talk.